And check it out. I can walk. See that? That means it's time to finish the electric pit bike. Finally. So before we begin, I just want to do a little recap for all the new viewers. And I want to say a big thank you for all the people that watched my last video. The comments were amazing. I appreciate all the quick recovery, get well fast. You guys are amazing. It helped. In a little under 3 months, I was able to get up and walking and feeling normal again from my crazy jet ski accident. If you haven't watched the last video, I'll put the link in the description below. Definitely go watch it. It's going to have a lot to do with the pit bike. I'm going to show you how to hook up the motor and the controller and the battery, and we actually bench test the motor on the table. That's all in that episode. But I also explained how I broke my pelvis and the plates and stuff that I got done. Just go watch that video and it'll fill you in on everything. But for all the people that wrote stuff in the comments, I appreciate it a lot. You guys are amazing. Thank you. So with that out of the way, we're gonna get right to building. We're gonna go install the motor, the controller, and the battery into the frame. This has been taking a long time in the making to make, but let's get to it. So first thing first, here's our power combo that's gonna go into the frame. All the stuff's from electro&co. The links are in the description below. Brief recap, that's QS's 138 70H V3 gear reducted motor. This is electro&co's SLR 22 amp hour 80 volt LiPo battery pack. And that's the Voltol EM 150 that electro&co bumps up to 200 amps to produce some serious power for these pit bikes. Now, when it comes to fabricating electric motors into these gas bike frames, is not a direct bolt-in, ready-to-go thing. You're going to have to do some fabrication. You're also going to want to make sure that your motor is perfectly aligned with your rear sprocket on your chain. You're going to have to cut the original mounts off the frame. Let's mock the motor up in here and I'll explain a little more as we do it. So check it out. I think I got it in a pretty good spot. I believe I'm probably a couple millimeters higher than where the stock one would have been, but that's okay because I feel like the chain doesn't need to really run along the top of the swing arm that much. But here's a good way to see your alignment. Basically what you're going to want to do is take the bike off the frame and sit on it with your weight. So that's about how it's going to be when you're driving it. As you can see, it's not, it's resting on it, but it's not like tensioned against it. So sitting on the bike and compressing it gives you a good idea of where the motor should be in an upward and downward position as far as the chain not resting too much on the swing arm. That's taken care of. But another big thing you want to make sure is that your motor's perpendicular with your chain. So a good way to test that without any kind of crazy tools or anything is make sure your front sprocket is free on your output shaft of your motor. You want that thing to be loose. Now, if you just grab the back wheel and you rotate it, if your sprocket stays in one spot all the time, which should ideally be right here where the retainer clip would be, if it just stays there the whole time, which this does, that means the chain is straight with the rear sprocket. So that means your front sprocket and your rear sprocket are really close in the same direction. What you don't want to happen is, say you're spinning your tire, the sprocket starts to walk to the outside of the motor shaft. If it walks off or walks out on the output shaft, or same thing if it goes all the way up against the motor and gets stuck in there, that means something is not straight. Either your motor is crooked like this or there's something off. So a quick way to do it, just sit there and spin your back tire and make sure your front sprocket stays straight. with that out of the way, I think my motor is in a pretty good position. These mounts are tack welded because I wasn't sure if it was going to be perfect, but it looks like I lucked out. And another thing I did do is I actually made these little aluminum shims. So I can actually move the motor side to side if I need to in the future, but I think the way it is right now is perfect. So what we're going to do is I'm going to finish welding these top mounts. I was able to reuse this back mount. And I do want to make one more mount for down here. I feel like having 3 contact points is a good thing to hold these electric motors in. But for the time being, we're only going to use the 2. It's plenty strong, and I'm sure I'm going to have to make other adjustments in the future. To add the 3rd mount on the bottom is going to be easy. I can always do that later. But before I weld the 2 top tabs permanent, let me show you what I'm going to do with the battery and the controller. This way I can weld everything in one shot. Let's start with the battery. So, electro&co are geniuses. They 3D print their battery boxes. But that's not what makes them a genius. What he did was he made the actual battery pack. The batteries are in here. He makes it slide into the box. So the battery slides into the box. You can remove the battery out of the box. Now you're not supposed to remove it through these things. These are more, I won't get into it. You can rip these out. But the battery slides in and out of the box. So when I was looking at the box that he gave me, I kind of modified it because I needed the wire ends to come out of the back of the box instead of the top of the box. Because in the EMX kit that he sells for a KTM frame, you can have the leads come out this side. But for my purpose, I'm actually going to use the box upside down. And I needed the leads to come out the back. But other than that, how I'm thinking about mounting this to the frame is by using an aluminum plate that mounts to the actual battery box. And then from there, I'm going to take 2 other metal plates like this that I could weld to the frame. So now the entire box is removable out of the frame. And you can also service the battery. I just needed a way that I can actually weld this to the frame, so that's why I'm doing the 2 metal bars. If that confuses you, just wait until I put it on the bike. I'll explain it more. As far as the controller goes, we're going to try mounting this thing underneath the gas tank, and I'm going to try doing the same thing. We're going to take these 2 metal plates. I'm going to actually mount the controller to the plates, and then I'm able to weld the plates to the frame. This way I can mount and unmount the controller itself. So I guess let's go to the bike. And I'll show you what it looks like. And then we'll do a time lapse and weld everything in one shot. Let's shoot over there. Alright, so here's the battery box with the aluminum plate mounted to the plastic box itself. And then these 2 metal plates get screwed to the aluminum plate. Now I'm just going to tack the 2 metal plates to the frame, something like this. And then I'll show you how I remove the plastic box. So let's just tack this fast. Alright, so now that we got everything tack welded, like you saw before in that time lapse, the battery box is going to get mounted to these plates, and then it gets Allen keys that goes there. That's going to get mounted there. It's removable with the Allen keys. Now, what I'm thinking is, this is good and all having it mounted on the top for Supermoto reasons, but when I turn this thing into a dirt bike again, I think I want to reinforce this battery box and have another mount down at the bottom. But I'll design that when I add the extra mount for the motor mount. I'll design a bottom mount that will hold the battery box from the bottom. Also, I do have another aluminum plate that goes down here to protect it and gives me a surface to mount things to, just like the top. So that's the battery box. And then like you saw also in the time lapse, the controller is going to go up here. And the controller is going to be covered with the gas tank. Now, I don't know how much more I have to cut of this gas tank because I'm going to need to sneak the wires through here and stuff, but we'll deal with that later. So now that everything is pretty much tacked on the frame and we got everything where it's going to go, I'm going to pull the motor out and just weld everything, make it all permanent, and then we can start mounting this. And then we can hook up the throttle and the key switch and some other stuff, and we might have a running bike very shortly. So this is going to be a long montage of just putting everything together. Let's get it! Alright, so here it is. We got the motor, the battery box, and the controller. Now it's time to hook up the wires from the motor and the battery box. We'll get them onto the controller, and then we'll plug in the actual battery and hook up the throttle and the on-off switch. And let's see if this bike comes to life. But we're just going to go through the frame with the phase wires and come back up through the frame, and then yellow is going to go to yellow, green with green, and blue with blue. You're going to want to make sure these are nice and tight. Now for the battery leads. It's important to remember, do not hook these up with the battery connected. If the battery has power and these two touch, it will arc, spark, and weld. Red with red, black with black. I'm not tightening the red yet because we're going to have to add the ignition switch to there so we can take power from that to turn on the controller. So here's the harness. This is the red wire that we're going to take power from your battery positive for the ignition. Plug that onto there. And these two leads down here are the only two we're going to use. One's for the throttle and the other one's for that's throttle, that's the kill switch, and the 3-speed mode that is going to go on the handlebars. But first, we got to take the old throttle off and slide the new one on, kind of like that. Let's put our 3-way switch and the on-off switch. So I know this looks like a mess, but just bear with me a little longer. I'm just going to separate what's on here now. Wow, that screw's gone. And I already lost the other one, so this is my last one. I gotta find that. Alright, so that screw's lost. I'm gonna have to get new screws. We're just gonna leave it temporary covered like that. I'm not using any of these pigtails. This here is important. This is our Hall effect sensor for our motor. So we'll plumb that in. Just like that. And then these two go to the throttle and the kill switch. Alright, now I think we're ready to put the battery in and see if this thing works. So I'm just gonna slide the battery in. And we're gonna put the cover on it. Alright, I didn't put them all in. There's too many. I need like a drill, but that's enough to hold it for now. And I think we're at the point where we can power this thing on and see if it actually works. Now, last time we had this whole system working, it was on the table. Let's try it. That's on. I'm gonna turn it off. Okay. So the controller's powered on. I'm not a fan of the whole not beeping thing. I wish this thing beeped or something so you know it's on or off. But I guess let's just grab the throttle and yes! 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 It works! Another one! Oh my god. I'm gonna put you down right here. Wow, it's fast. Wow, I kind of want to throw the seat on it and go try it on the street. Now, I don't think it's good for the motors to have them free spin like that under no load. But I'm not 100% sure, so we're not going to do it too much. I don't really hear a difference in the 3 speed modes. Like, here's slow speed. Here's medium speed. And then here's high speed. To me, they kind of all sound the same. I do see the rear tire slightly expanding when I rev it up, which is pretty cool. That means we're working with some G's here. Probably hard to tell on the camera, but it does expand a little bit. So I guess what I'm going to do is actually just throw the seat on it the way it is, and let's go take it for a test drive. It's going to be dark, but it's worth the test drive. Alright, so it's late, it's dark, but we are on the street right now and ready for a test drive. I just put my phone sitting here. Hopefully it doesn't fly off, but that's the speed in miles an hour. The bike's got 3 speeds on it. We're going to start on the slower speed. Also, the battery is probably less than halfway charged, so I'm not expecting crazy numbers out of this thing, but it should be a good test just to see if it works. So with that, right after this car passes, we'll do a pass. Look at this guy ripping! Woo! Alright, let's see what this thing does. So quiet and smooth. Whoa! He's got power, and this is in the slow speed. Alright, I think I'm just gonna go to the fast speed and we're just gonna max it out and see how fast it goes. So this is speed number 3. We'll start from a dead stop. Ready, set. Oh my god, it does a wheelie! What the heck? Oh my god! Wow! Oh my god, I don't even have back brakes on this thing yet. I only have front brakes. This thing works so good! Yes, another one! Oh my god, Electro&Co. You get a round of applause. You make an amazing motor combo here. Oh man, I still need to put the fenders on it and stuff. Oh, it's so fast. Alright, let's take it back. let's put some charge in this battery and oh my god. Alright, back in the garage. Oh, I need brakes. So, where does that leave us? We're gonna bring this video to an end. I still need to charge the battery. I still got a couple things I need to do on it, but next time you guys see it, it's gonna be 100%. Actually, if you want to see it with the fenders on it, I think we can make that happen. It looks so much better with the fenders on it. So I do gotta cut the gas tank a little more because the wires, but it looks really clean. Like, this is a really well put together. Oh, this side's not on perfectly. The fenders are just laying on there. I gotta bolt them all down, but look at this. We have a full-blown Supermoto. So with that, they're gonna bring the video to an end. Thank you everybody for watching. Hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. Whoa! Oh my god!